Hello everyone. My name is Elise. I hope you're all doing so good today. Welcome to my channel. We are doing my Republic of Consciousness vlog for the year of 2026. I'm very excited to do this vlog this year. I had a lot of fun doing one last year. And if you are new, I'll explain really briefly what the Republic of Consciousness Prize is. So it is a prize that celebrates small independent presses. And this prize is for the US and Canada in particular. So it needs to be small independent publishers that are either located within those two countries or widely distribute in those two countries. And I love small independent presses. About a half, depending on the year, of my reading is from small independent publishers. So I love that not only does this book celebrate, I think, an often under-celebrated part of our literary ecosystem, but these are just like such exciting, unique, creative books that I think you are not going to find anywhere else for the most part. And it's such a fun prize for me to read for that reason. So I had an entire video trying to predict some of the books this year, which I do every year. So we're here to give the tiniest reaction to the long list. I'm not going to go over every book in detail, just a little reaction of my own personal thoughts. And then we're going to talk about what I'm potentially going to read in this vlog. So there were 10 long listed titles. I will put a picture of the long listed titles up on the screen so you can take a little peek through what is there, what is not there. It is a very exciting list this year. It is every year, but for me personally this year, a majority of the books sound interesting to me and seem like ones that I might actually want to pick up. Those are the books. I will link the website down below if you want to explore in a little bit more detail. But of the 10 long listed titles, I predicted 3. That is the most I've ever predicted, but that's because I went off of the actual nominations because Sarah over at Eyes on Indie did lovely videos of every book that got nominated this year, which were 45 in total. It was a smaller pool for me to be guessing from, so it makes sense that I got more than usual. I normally get 1, so which I honestly think is impressive the way that I was doing it before to even get 1, but this year I got 3, and those books are The Remembered Soldier by Anjet, Daanje, and that one is translated by whom? David McKay, published by New Vessel Press. This is the one that I felt the most certain about, and I feel even more certain about it now because it just showed up on a different long list. This one was on the National Book Award Translated Literature long list, and maybe even shortlist, I can't quite remember. And it just got announced that it is longlisted for the PEN Translated Book Award as well. I suspect this could even show up on the International Booker Prize for this year. So this one has really been making the rounds. It is a chunkier book. It is about a soldier who, upon leaving the Great War, has amnesia, and there are women coming into the hospital who are essentially trying to claim him, see if he is their person, whether that be a brother, a husband, whoever it might be. And we get a woman who says, "That is my husband," and he goes home with her, and it's about him trying to piece back himself through someone else's eyes and perspective. I think it's a fascinating premise. Clearly, lots of people have been loving it and it's been getting a lot of critical acclaim. So that one is on here. That's the one I'm not surprised to see. And that is one of the ones that I think I am going to try to read. I have placed a hold at my library and I am now first in line. So I think I should be getting it hopefully soon, but I'm really excited to read that one. So that is the first one I got right. Second one I got right, which I'm a little bit surprised by, is Iris and the Dead by Miranda Schreiber. And I actually have this book here. So this one is published by Book Hug Press, and it is kind of similar to The Remembered Soldier in some regards, mainly in the fact that it also has to do with trauma and how that affects your memory. So let me read the blurb of this one, because this is going to be one that I read in this vlog, clearly because I own it, and that means I really want to get to it. So I'll read you the short blurb. It says, "Weaving personal memory with magic realism and folklore, Iris and the Dead asks, what if you could look back and tell someone exactly how they changed the course of your life? For our narrator, that someone is Iris, the counselor with whom she developed an unusual, almost violent bond. There are things she needs to tell Iris, some that she hid during the brief time that they knew each other, and some that she has learned since. She was missing her mind the autumn they spent together and has since regained it." Such a good blurb. So you can see some of the similarities. So this will be another one that I am picking up. I've heard a couple people that I follow on BookTube really enjoy this as well. So very excited for that. And then the last and third book that I got right in my predictions is another one that I now own. And that is, it's all twisted, that is Small Scale Sinners by Mahreen Sohail. This one is published by A Public Space Books, and it is a short story collection. You can tell it's very slim. And the thing that really drew me to this collection is it has a central question that runs through all of the stories, which I love. A cohesive short story collection. I say that so often, but it is true. And this one, the central question is, what does it mean to be a good person? I think that's a fascinating question, and I'm really excited to get to this and very happy it was longlisted. So this one, obviously, because I own it, is going to be another one that I pick up. And all of my predictions were ones that I was interested in reading, so it makes sense that the 3 that I predicted right are ones that are going to be in this vlog. So those were my success stories. The rest I did not get right. And I'm definitely sad about some of them in particular, but I want to just chat through the other ones that I'm at least interested in and might potentially pick up for this vlog, and then we'll get into the actual vlog portion, so I'm not just chatting the whole time. The first one is On Earth as It Is Beneath by Anna Paul Maia, translated by Padma Viswanathan, and it's published by Charco Press. This is a book that I was really interested in reading, but I was convinced that it was not going to get longlisted, mostly because it is extremely short and it is a prequel to, what's the cattle one? Of Cattle and Men, I think might be the title. I will put the cover up over here. It's like a beautiful pink cover that I have thought about buying so many times but haven't picked it up yet. So this again is the prequel, and I've just heard so many good things about this author and so many good things about Of Cattle and Men that I was immediately intrigued by this when I saw that it got nominated. This one, I will say, because it is extremely short and I just got a hold in from my library for this book, I am most likely going to be reading it in this video. I'm going to read the prequel first. I'm not going to take the time to read Of Cattle and Men before I get to it. I might like backtrack and read that afterwards, but this one is going to be one that I pick up. I don't really know much about it, honestly. I'll tell you more about the blurb if I in fact end up reading it at the time. 2 more that I am definitely intrigued by. Another one that I really wanted to read but was very surprised to see on the long list is Hothouse Bloom by Austyn Wohlers. This one is published by Hub City Press, not to be confused with Book Hug Press from earlier. So this book is about a painter, a young painter who inherits an apple orchard and really like sustainable farm in its entirety from her grandfather who has just passed away. She was not close to him at all. And I think she's like feeling pretty nihilistic about life and decides to go on the farm and become a farmer. Really interesting premise. So I think I might try and pick that one up potentially. And then the last one is, oh, I'm sorry. I got 4 predictions right because the last one is one that I also predicted. Oh my gosh, I shortchanged myself. I got 4 right. Woo! So last one that I also predicted is The Endless Week by Laura Vazquez. This one is translated by Alex Niemi and it's published by Dorothy, a publishing project. I picked this one because Sarah loves Dorothy so much. So I thought it might potentially show up on the list for that reason. I don't think that's the sole reason it showed up on the list. But this one I'm also really interested in. It's kind of like a family drama, it seems like in some ways. So we have 2 kids who are like chronically online and barely ever leave the house. And their grandmother is terminally ill. And for some reason, I don't know the connection, they need to find their estranged mother to help with their terminally ill grandmother. I'm not sure if they need like bone marrow or what it is. So they go out on this road trip with their shared best friend, Jonathan, and try and find their mother. I think it's such a kind of wackadoodle premise in a way, and I'm really excited to see what this book holds. So that will be another one that I am interested in picking up. So those are the 6 that are probably the least likely for me to orbit around in this vlog. Please let me know if you had any thoughts and feelings about the long list this year. And I don't know how long this will take me to film or how many books I'm gonna pick up. I just kind of go with the flow with this one. The shortlist is coming out on February 24th. I don't know if I'm gonna make it by then. I usually don't. So I will see you when I see you when I pick up the first book. Talk to you then. All right, we are here to give a quick little update on the first book that I'm reading for this vlog. So I ended up starting with, I can't remember if I said this in the reaction portion, but I started with Hothouse Bloom by Austyn Wohlers. I will put up the image over here. And I wanted to give a check-in now because I think I'm gonna finish it in the next day or two. So I wanted to give an initial check-in before I give my review at the end. The premise of this book is we're following a young painter who inherits an apple orchard from her grandfather who has just passed away. They were not close at all, but she is feeling very nihilistic about life and wants to go to the orchard and create a new life for herself where she is just sort of like one with the land and with the orchard itself, and sort of like lets her own identity dissolve into the natural world. That's the initial setup. And this story has a couple interesting things from the get-go. Firstly, in the prose, there are certain phrases that get repeated multiple times. It's not super often, so I don't think you're gonna get like annoyed if you really don't like that. But every so often it will like repeat a couple sentences or a certain phrase. And I found that very interesting, like which ones they're choosing to repeat. So that's like a fun little element so far. It almost feels like Easter eggy. And then the other part is color is such a huge part of this book. There is so much symbolism in colors, which makes sense because our narrator is a painter, and you can very much see that in the way that she views the world and the way that she views the farm in and of itself. All of the descriptions are almost like paintings in a way, talking about like the color, the texture of certain scenes. It's really fascinating way to look at the natural world with, and I'm enjoying that so far and think it obviously fits really well with the narrative. So those are two things that initially stand out to me about this book. The main character is unlikable, I would say. Like, she's not a horrible human being, but she's not likable. So I think you need to be prepared for that going in. And I really have no idea how this book is gonna end. Like, I don't understand where it's going, which is exciting. That's making me want to continue reading. It is a quieter novel, I think, in some regards, and in some ways that might be because I read Beta Vulgaris last year, which was one of my favorite books, and it is also about a young woman going to do a harvest. That one was just like so unhinged and loud and chaotic, and this one is much more quiet in comparison. So I'm not sure if this book is suffering a little bit from me loving that one that I've read previously and like more recently. We'll see where it ends up going, but those are my initial thoughts so far. Oh, other fun thought is she does end up getting, this is in like the beginning fourth, I think. So she ends up getting 2 dogs from some local farmers because there is a bear on the property. And the dogs are Anatolian Pyrenees mix. And if you've seen my dog in videos, my dog is a Pyrenees. So that was just like a fun little treat. It reminded me of when I got my little puppy and he was so fluffy and cute. Oh my God, it took me back. Those are the fun things about the book so far. I will give you an actual review once I've finished it, but I'll leave the update there for now. I'm here to give you an update, and I'm gonna try not to keep this really long because I have so many things to update you on. First thing, I have finished Hothouse Bloom. I will put it over here. Overall, I enjoyed this. It's not gonna be a favorite, I don't think, but I think there's something really unique about the way the story is written that I spoke about a little bit before, where it has this real like painting-like quality, and the setting of the story is the central focus of the story in a lot of ways. I also think the ending of this book I read it as very cheeky. I'm really curious to know what other people thought of the ending, because I think you could feel like a lot of different ways about it. But for me, it was very cheeky and I felt like it fit and put like a pin in some of the undertows of the story. I don't want to say what it is because I'm worried about that being a spoiler. It's not, I don't know. It's something in between. So I don't want to say it just in case. But yeah, I overall really enjoyed this. Thought the writing was super unique, which is what I love this prize for in the first place. I think this is another really good like millennial novel. It reminded me in a lot of ways to Perfection by Vincenzo Latronico. That was everywhere last year because it got nominated for a bunch of prizes. This one had like its own unique, dirty, gritty, gross, grotesque approach to it. And I really enjoyed it. This one, definitely a success for me. I'm happy that I read it. After I finished that one, I immediately hopped over to The Endless Week by Laura Vazquez, translated by Niemi. I can't remember the full name off the top of my head. I will put the translator down below. And this one, I think might be a DNF. I think I might be DNFing this. I've read the first like 25 pages or something like that. It's the first chapter essentially. And what the hell? What? It's a family story, but the writing style of this is bizarre. It's really going for something which I can appreciate, but I don't know if I want to read over 200 pages of this, knowing that for me, the payoff might not be very much. So let me try to explain it a bit and then try to explain why I think I'm going to DNF it. And that way you can know if it's right for you or not. But this one is, again, following a family. I think I said this in the first part of the video, but the mom is not there and the dad is, I would say, struggling with some mental illness is what I would say. We also have the two kids that live in the household. They have a best friend named Jonathan, and he's in the story as well. So we get these long passages in which very absurd things are happening. This also has like a strange, like violent, grotesque quality to it, similar to Hothouse Bloom, but both of them, neither one of them are going for like super dark. They're going for like other things tonally. So Hothouse Bloom, I would say, is going for like a nihilistic approach with the grotesqueness, and this one is going for like wacky and absurd. So yeah, it has long passages where they're like describing what's happening in the room, and the sentences really like build upon one another and flow very quickly into one another, almost kind of like stream of consciousness, although it is not fully. And we're getting like passages where the father is like washing the dishes excessively and talking about the cleanliness of the home and how hard it is to maintain the cleanliness of the home because the kids are always like keeping everything dirty. It's stuff like that where it's very like mundane slice of life things, but told in an absurd way. And I just don't think it's gonna be for me. If you have read this and feel like the payoff is really worth it at the end, please let me know. But if it's just more of the same and I'm supposed to appreciate it as is, I just don't think that's gonna work for me. So that's the reason that I'm DNFing it. If you like something where you can just appreciate someone going for a very particular writing style and executing it well, this might be for you, and you can handle that like wackiness, then I think this would totally be for you. So that's maybe who I would recommend it to. So that is The Endless Week. Think I'm gonna DNF unless someone convinces me otherwise. And then lastly, I also picked up physically, I have it here, let me reach. So I picked up Small Scale Sinners, which is a short story collection. And I've read just the first story from this, but I really liked it. It reminded me of Jawbone by Monica Ojeda, if you've read that. But the first story follows, I can't really tell, is it two girls or is it like a chorus of voices? It's definitely a plural voice, and they're fascinated with these two twins that they go to school with. They're all teenagers and they increasingly try to get into the twins' good graces, and the twins hold a level of mystique around them because they live like in a boarding house. I can't remember what it is. Is it a hostel? It's a hostel. They finally get in with these twins, and then things really start to escalate from there, and there's some violence in this story. Yeah, it was very evocative. This is again the short story collection where it's having to deal with like, what does it mean to be good? And that is a fascinating question to kind of have as a lens for all of the stories. So in that story, when you think about what it is to be good amidst so much like violence and the horrors of young girlhood, it really did make me think about the story slightly differently. So yeah, good first start to this one, and I'm excited to keep going on it. So I will definitely keep reading this. And then as my ebook, the other one that I currently have access to is As It Lies Beneath. So I think I'm going to head to that one next. So when you see me next, hopefully I will have started that one and read more of this. So I will see you then. Bye. Okay, it is the next day. Is this slightly low? Let me bring you up a bit. Is that better? Who knows? So it is the next day, and I have an update for you. 2 updates, actually. So I have read the next story in Small Scale Sinners, and I wanted to give you another little synopsis because it's probably going to be the last short story that I give you an actual synopsis for, and then I'll just wait to give you my review of the whole collection at the end. But the second story is called The Dog? Let me double check. Something to do with the dog, that's definitely for sure. Yeah, The Dog. And it was a shorter one. I want to say it was like less than 10 pages. And that one was about from a sister's perspective, but it's a sister, a brother, and their father. They are adults, both of the siblings, and they're taking care of him as he seems to be terminally ill. And about a year ago, they had bought a Labrador, and they haven't had time to train it because they've been caretakers for their father, and so they really need to get rid of the dog. So they put an ad out at their local vet, and a woman stops by to take a look at the dog to see if she will adopt it. So that's the premise of the story, and a big tonal shift from the first story, which I found very interesting. Much more subtle of a story than the first one. And again, because this like question of what does it mean to be good is at the forefront of my mind while I'm reading this, I was trying to parse through like what are the moral decisions that are coming up in this story, and do I feel like they relate to the first story or not? And I actually feel like they do in some ways, mostly in these ways of like letting go or pursual. Like, what is the line there for another living thing? I think that's an interesting through line for both of the stories. And I'm curious as I read more if that will keep coming up as one of the moral questions that the characters are having to grapple with. This one, of course, also having to deal with death like the first story was, but they're dealing with death in pretty different ways. Yeah, I am very intrigued by this so far, really enjoying it. I will wait now to give you any more updates until I finish it. It's really short. It's like 125 pages or something like that. So I'll wait to give you a review at the end. And then the other update I have for you is I have started a different book. Oh, I hear Big coming. I think he's gonna come out. There he is. Hi, baby. Do you want to come over here? You want to come? Oh, yeah. There you are. Oh, he's going to get on the couch. He's like, I'm not sitting on the floor with you. Okay, so other update is I started On Earth as It Is Beneath by Paula Maia, translated by Padma Viswanathan. I'm fairly certain. This is the book by Charco Press that got longlisted. And I read half of this last night. I'm probably gonna read the other half tonight. And it's very short. It's a novella. I think it's right around 100 pages, if I'm remembering correctly. This one I'm really enjoying so far as well. So the premise is we're following a penal colony that is out in the wilderness, so a prison, and we are getting a bunch of the prisoners' perspectives as well as the warden and then one prison guard. And you clearly see very, very early on, like first page, that there are some nefarious things afoot at this prison. The prison warden is a very violent and rigid man when it comes to his own hierarchical moral structure, which is interesting compared to this as well. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It has an omniscient third person point of view. At least I'm trying to remember, is it first or third? I think it's third because it's using their names. But I will double check and tell you in the last little review part when I finish it. And that has been really intriguing. It's allowed this like almost claustrophobic feeling for the book, which I think works really well for a prison that is surrounded by huge walls. By the way, that is an aspect of it, because you're getting to hop around from perspective to perspective and get like a wide berth in the cast, but the location is like so tight and small. And getting inside all of these men's heads where they clearly know that this place is not a good place to be does make it feel like oppressive and claustrophobic. And this like omniscient quality, I think, puts the reader as like an other outside of the book looking down at these men, which also a very interesting perspective to be in. And I wonder if the book is going to do something interesting with that by the end of it. But yeah, really enjoying it so far. It's got a really interesting plot. I'm very curious to figure out like what else is going on at this prison and what's going to happen. But the writing is really interesting as well, like very interesting choices. So that's my update so far on this. I will wait to check in about both of these books until I finish them, just because they're so short. I don't want to give too much away. And then we'll give you some final reviews from there. I'm still waiting on my library hold for The Remembered Soldier. So I'm hoping that comes in soon. And then physically, after I finish this, I will be picking up Iris and the Dead. And that's everything that I have planned for this video. If I don't get The Remembered Soldier, which I'm going to be reading on my e-reader soon enough, I might pick up Of Cattle and Men by Paula Maia, which is the technically second book. It came out first. So On Earth as It Is Beneath, like I said before, is a prequel. So I might pick up the second one if I need to fit another ebook in, because I don't want to get stuck in something too long in case The Remembered Soldier comes in for me. So that's the update for now. I will leave it there, and I will see you all in a little bit. Oh, I should say, I just lied. Other thing is I just got a notification that my hold, like physical hold at the library for All Trap No Bait, which was one of the nominated books, but it didn't get longlisted, that I'm really interested in, came in for me. So I think I'm gonna try and fit in walking over to the library to pick that up, because I need to stop by the grocery store anyway. So I'll walk over to the library first, then grocery store, then back home. So I might show you a little bit of B-roll of me picking up the hold from the library, since it is Republic of Consciousness related. So yeah, I'll take you with me. Let's go. Awkward position, so we're gonna see how long I last. I'm kind of holding you up by hand to give you a quick question mark update on Earth as It Is Beneath, because I have finished that and I've actually started Of Cattle and Men, but we'll talk about that in a second. So On Earth as It Is Beneath was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. Maybe some interesting additional things I would say to kind of review and wrap it up for you is there's another amnesia book. There is a slight amnesia element to this. I won't say anything more than that. Very interesting that the long list has so many things to do with like memory or misremembering or forgetting, whether that be like amnesia or trauma or both or whatever it might be. So very fascinating through line that we have so far this year. And this book, I feel like, had such interesting commentary on moral hierarchies, I would say. So the individual ones that we create, like our own moral codes and systems that don't really make sense to other people and help us justify doing horrible things. And then also on a more like macro scale, the moral hierarchies that we've come up with from our justice system and how those are also not equitable and just. And it's kind of fascinating to think about like what a purely just system would be, because morality does have some level of subjectivity to it. Like, I think there are things that people would say are universally immoral. It does a lot with that topic, I think, in the amount of pages, because it is such a short novella. So don't expect it to like go into a huge amount of detail. It's subtle, I think, in the ways that it's examining that. Well, subtle, I don't know. Subtle not in the content, but in the commentary, if that makes sense. So really enjoyed my time with that book. Would highly recommend it. And at the time I finished it, because this was a few days ago now, I still did not have my hold for The Remembered Soldier. So I went over to Of Cattle and Men, and I'm about halfway through that. I'm not going to talk about that here since it's not actually on the long list, but you'll definitely see it in my next wrap up whenever that is, but enjoying it so far. So since then, I'm also most of the way through Small Scale Sinners. I think I have 2 stories left, and that's still going great. Only other thing I want to update you with for now is that I have now finally received my hold for The Remembered Soldier. So once I finish up Of Cattle and Men, which I should finish in the next day or 2, I will switch over to The Remembered Soldier. Very excited to get into that one and see what the writing is like. So far, another, good book in the bag, and I'll see you all next time. Hello, we are here for another update because I wanted to make sure I got one last update in before the shortlist was announced. Today, what day is it? It's the 19th. The shortlist is getting announced on the 24th, and I don't imagine I'm going to finish another book by then. So I wanted to put this up now. I'll still keep checking in with you, but a couple updates. I have finished Small Scale Sinners, and I loved this. I'm so happy to report that I loved this. It's my favorite, I think, that I've read so far for the long list. This, again, is a short story collection that is tackling this like central question of what does it mean to be good? And it does that, but that's not even the reason why I really loved this, or maybe it's connected. I explained some of the first 2 stories to you to give you like an indication of the content of the stories and some of the things it's starting to grapple with. But for me, this is really hovering around themes of grief, loss, death, which are all adjacent in their own way, but have nuanced differences. Ultimately, I think it's through those themes that the author is exploring familial connection and the emotional complexities of familial connection. And I thought she did that so brilliantly. There were so many stories that I felt like I could resonate with personally, of these like complex feelings around what it's like to leave a family member. I live far from my family. What it's like to grow into adulthood and how that's a kind of like loss or leaving of someone. What it's like to get married and start a new family. Like, there's all these little nuances that she picks out. There's a lot about sibling dynamics in here. I have a brother, and I felt like I could resonate so much to some of those things. It just really touched a tender part of me and articulated some feelings that I've felt about family dynamics, and it was nice to be reminded of those and just like the breadth of family, if that makes sense. So whether or not that has to do with the central question of what does it mean to be good, I think it's interesting to try and connect it back for me, although I will say like that's not necessarily what I loved about this story, which is what I just mentioned. But the connection with like what does it mean to be good, I think aligns with maybe my own preconceived notions about that going into the book, which is why it didn't feel as thought-provoking for me. I don't think this is an original thought, but I don't think like moral purity is possible nor useful, I suppose. And I think this book does really get into the messiness of goodness and in a lot of different ways. So I think there's some food for thought if you really want to dive into that here. But I just loved the way she talks about family, and that for me was really the standout. I can't wait to see what this author comes up with next, because this is her debut. So yeah, a real winner for me. Loved this. If you've read this, let me know what you thought about it. And then I have also since started The Remembered Soldier. I think I'm like right around page 50. I'm just into the like second chapter or section. This is why I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna finish that before the 24th, because that book is over 600 pages and I'm only on page 50. So I'm not gonna read that in the next 5 days. So really enjoying it so far. I have high hopes, fingers crossed. I'm really liking the writing style, is what I should say most like this far in. I don't really know where the plot is going to go, but I am intrigued to understand where the plot is going to go, because I feel like this book has so much potential in what it could be trying to have some commentary on. And in the beginning, or basically just getting what the blurb says, so we follow Noon, who is our main character. At least his name starts as Noon. You get introduced to him as Noon, and he has that name because he got committed to this asylum around midday, so they call him Noon. And you kind of get his daily routine there. And as the blurb suggests, there are a few women who come to see if they know him and can claim him as someone from their life. You get the initial disappointment of women coming to see him and him not being their husband. And he like feels that somewhat viscerally, like he feels their disappointment and feels like he has somehow caused that. It's really interesting. And then you get his actual wife who comes and finds him. This initial dynamic between the two of them, because he has no memory, but has this like longing to be claimed by someone and to be someone else's and have a protector. Really, really fascinating stuff so far. And again, love the writing. I'm excited to get immersed in such a long book with this, and again, just hoping it continues up what it's already done. We've already had a little bit of talk of like PTSD, like they're calling it shell shock, which I think is more indicative of the time period, but I'm curious how that's going to continue to play out, this idea of like memory and trauma and how they're interrelated. So yeah, enjoying it so far. I have not yet started Iris and the Dead because I am trying to finish a buddy read. I'm physically reading something else with a friend, and I'm having to push myself through it. So once I finish that, I will go to Iris and the Dead because I need to read that physically. But yeah, so far I've had so much fun with the list. I'm mulling over whether or not I'm going to do a little reaction to the short list and put that in here. So you might see me again just for that, even if I haven't finished a book, but I'll check in with you in just a little bit. Bye. Okay, I'm here to give you a little update, mainly because it is now March 9th, and I know that the winner is going to be announced tomorrow on the 10th, and this vlog isn't done yet. Surprise, surprise to no one but myself, probably, but I am taking this vlog longer than the prize announcements are actually going to happen, but c'est la vie, that's life. I'm not going to push through reading the books faster than my pace just to meet that arbitrary deadline. So I will give you an update on where I'm at, because it's been a while since I've done an update. And that is mainly because I'm still reading The Remembered Soldier. This book is like 700 pages. And for me, it's not a book that I can read quickly. So I'm reading about like 30 pages a day of this book. With 700 pages in total, that's not the fastest pace, but it's the right pace for me for this book. And so I think I'm right around page 300. I'm slightly past page 300. So about halfway, but not quite. And I'm enjoying this so far. There's so many thoughts. I mean, partly it's because it's a really long book, but I have so many initial thoughts, so I'm going to try and make them a little bit cohesive for you. The first thing is just that this book does such a good job of keeping the tension for you, and not that I think it's a really like suspenseful type of book. I think like tension psychologically of knowing what's going on, which is such a smart thing for this book to be doing, because you're following somebody who has PTSD and they have a really hard time with what is real and not real and what is going on, and whether or not they can trust people, and oscillating between these like really intense feelings. And I feel like I am also experiencing that as the reader of this book. And it's feeling very immersive in that way. There are sections in this book, I want to say there are like 12, and I think I'm in the 8th section. The sections at the end get pretty long. So I think the last like 4 sections are 100 pages each. And each section I think really does contain something a little unique for the story, but I don't want to kind of say what they are for fear of giving something away. They're not like huge reveals, but I think some of the pleasure of this novel is like really being in a place of discovery alongside with the narrator as he's trying to discover more about his life. So I'm loving that aspect, that me as the reader, I get to go alongside the narrator. I feel very involved and invested because of that. And I think the length really adds to that. Like, this is the type of book that should be long. I think it's long with a purpose, because it again forces the reader to like feel that stretching and condensing of time in a really interesting way, in a unique way that I think happens after trauma. Another thing that this book does is you get to have these sequences of daytime life and living, and then dream sequences, or I should say nightmare sequences, that the protagonist is having. And you kind of flip back and forth quite frequently between those, because every night he has very vivid, horrific nightmares, and you experience that with him because you read about his nightmares every night, and then you kind of wake up in the morning and you have to start a new day, and sometimes they're pleasant and sometimes they're mundane and sometimes they're challenging, and then you sort of know that when he goes to sleep the nightmare sequence is going to come. Again, like, puts you in a really immersive position as the reader. There's just so many smart things that this author is doing. I am absolutely loving it. I get why it's on so many prize lists this year. I should also say, since I last gave you an update, this was on the International Booker long list, which I suspected it would be because it's been on so many. Again, it was on the National Book Award long list, it was on the Penn long list, so it is everywhere at the moment, and it's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. I've also been to 2 bookstores since, and I've tried to buy this and neither one of the bookstores have had it, so I'm gonna try another one, and then if it's also not there, I'll just order it in at my local indie. But that should tell you how much I'm liking it, even though I'm not even quite halfway through. So again, there's so much to come. I genuinely don't know what's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. I think that's part of the joy of it, is not really having any idea of where this is gonna go, because this book, it's definitely more about the journey than how it ends necessarily. So that is update on the Remembered Soldier, and I haven't picked up any of the other books yet. One, because I'm still reading that fucking buddy read that I was complaining about last time. I'm so close to the end. So I haven't started Iris and the Dead yet because I can only read that one physically, and I need to finish this buddy read first. So I haven't started that, but I'm gonna be starting that soon. And then I also think if I can get the Remembered Soldier physically, because I'm about to finish my library hold of it and I don't want to hold up the rest of the line. I had my hold come in for Little Lazarus, which is also on the short list. It's the only other book on the short list that I haven't already read that I'm interested in reading. So I might pick up that one too. So this video just might keep going on and on and on forever and ever, amen. But I'm sort of okay with that. I'm really enjoying my time with the list. I will leave you there for now. That was already a long update, and I'll see you in a little bit. Hello and welcome back. We are going to be closing out the vlog actually, which might sound sudden, and it kind of is. Basically, I've been editing this vlog along the way and it's already long. And I still technically have 2.5 books to read for it. So I'm just gonna split this vlog into 2 parts. So we're gonna cap off the first part here, and then we will pick up in the next one. And the next one will include me finishing The Remembered Soldier. It'll include me reading Iris and the Dead in its entirety. I've already started it. You'll have to hear my update in my next video. And then I think I'm gonna read Little Lazarus as well, which was also a long listed title. So all of that is gonna take up plenty more more time and I didn't want this vlog to be an hour. So I'm splitting it in two. So hopefully you enjoyed part one of my Republic of Consciousness vlog. I have loved reading these books so far. And in this one, we DNF'd a book. We read 2 books in their entirety and we read half of another book. And I've really enjoyed my time with the list so far this year. So I will leave you there and I will see you in the next video. Bye.